All right, you guys, what's happening? It is Bill back at the wall of tools, and today we have child number 4 with me, Gavin. Why don't you introduce yourself, Gavin? Say hi.
Hi.
Gavin is going to be helping me review the Stihl chainsaw that I mentioned in a few other videos. It is the, hold on, let me make sure I get this right, the MS261C. So this thing, as I mentioned before, is a monster. It is so cool, and I'm going to tell you why it is just a beast in this video. First things first, this is Stihl's lowest introduction to their professional saw segment. Is not that different than the commercial saws they sell. There's a few other pieces that are a bit sturdier in there, and I can you can look through all the annoying specs and features and things like that. It's cool. Don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is I like the brand, I like the saw. I don't know that you have to get the MS261C to have a great experience with them. So first things first, I'll pull off the sheath here. Comes with this nice high quality sheath, and we'll get going. Okay, so this is a 2-cycle chainsaw. It's got some cool features on it right here. Up on top, ooh, geez, that was a little dangerous. It's got a decompression valve, which just makes it easier to start. Push that in, doesn't take any strength, and just lowers the amount of force required to get the engine turning, and then it pops out once you have it in full run. So it's just a nice feature to have on something like this, because sometimes it can be just a little bit difficult to start. It's got your go trigger here with trigger lock, just like you'd expect. It's got a kill switch, here's run, and then as well you can put it into a mode that makes it easier to start, so like a choke mode. You've got this beautiful elastic start system by Stihl. You can hear the compression work in there. Oh, don't worry, I'm not gonna start it, mijo. It's okay. And you got the chain brake here right on top. Couple other things that I think are really nice. This portion here, again, it's nothing to write home about, but this blade guard, whatever you call that, here, I'll show you too, Gavin. This blade guard is super strong and beefy and does a great job holding the wood so you really don't get any slipping. It's got a kickback electronic brake, and so that's something that's in the saw. You can't really see it operating, but it's a really nice feature to have when you need it. And so in the event of kickback, it's got an electronic brake that's gonna kick in and hopefully save you from some really serious injury in the event that you need it. Yeah, what do you got? Yeah, definitely. You can test that sucker. Yeah, right? Pretty cool. It is super sharp, yeah. So I will do a future video on my chainsaw sharpening technique. I'm not some sage, I'll show you how I do it. And right now, this thing is pretty sharp. I will say, for whatever reason, it seems like I'm sharpening this a lot more. And maybe it's just because it's a cool tool and I like playing with it, thus it gets dull and needs to be sharpened. But I find myself sharpening this maybe just a bit more than I would ordinarily. It's got a couple things over here too, so let me show you. We've got, and Gavin, let me see if I can do this so you can see as well. We've got a fuel reservoir here. It's going to take your standard 2-cycle. I'm kind of lazy, so I get true fuel like they sell at Home Depot, the pre-mixed stuff. I probably shouldn't, but whatever. And then here's your bar and chain oil. I like these really beefy, high quality, hey guys, these really beefy, high quality caps they have on here. It just makes it so handy to use. Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Excuse me. Kind of lost my thing. No, it's not for climbing, but maybe you could stay off there, mijo. Yeah, so it is a beast. This thing just cuts like a pro. I can't even stress how awesome this is. I've got a baby chainsaw or an electric baby chainsaw that I've shown you guys before. It works really great. I've got pruners, I've got loppers, but when there is a big job, there is no doubt what I'm going to, and it is this bad boy here. Quite a bit heavier, I think, than some of the lower end saws, but it makes up for it in stability, ease of use, and just power. This thing is like butter going through wood. It's just like, it is so satisfying. For just 1 second, you feel like you're that lumberjack on ESPN 2. You're like, it is really fun. Obviously, you need to use your full safety equipment. I've got the helmet with the mesh face shield, ear protection, eye protection, chaps, the whole 9 yards. But this thing is really cool, and I totally understand now why people were like, oh, you gotta get a Stihl, you gotta get a Stihl, it's where it's at. It's just really well designed, looks super cool, super powerful, and honestly, pretty fuel efficient. Like, for as powerful as a saw as it is, I would expect it to just gobble fuel because the tank isn't that big. But it's honestly pretty fuel efficient. If I had to knock it, it would probably be that the tank isn't that big. Oh, hey, would you leave that on? Thank you. Really cool saw. Last thing I want to show you on it, guys, is these bar nuts, I believe they're called. I know, right? Who comes up with these names? These bar nuts. So the way these are set up, you can loosen them, tighten them, just like you'd expect, no big deal. But if you loosen them and you take them all the way off, they won't fall. And it's just a really cool feature. Like, why doesn't everybody have that? I don't know if you've ever had the experience of loosening it. You don't quite know where the end is, and then it falls into the grass and you're on hands and knees. You're like, oh God, what am I gonna do if I can't find this nut? And so the fact that you just can't lose it, it's attached to the saw, is really handy. It's got all these features in the handle. It's kind of hard to see. This thing can oscillate somewhat separately of the handle. You see that right there? As well as here. And what that does is it really creates a behavior where the saw can vibrate quite a bit, but you don't get all of that in your hand. People do some really in-depth videos on these things, and the specs just jump off the page. I try to keep it less technical because I'd rather have more of a conversational review about like why I think the tool is cool. But you can definitely check those out, and it is well worth it. I mean, this thing is like freaking chainsaw porn, man. It is so cool. So anyway, check it out when you get a chance. I really like their products. It's pretty cool. I definitely understand the brand loyalty that Stihl has. Like, it seems like just about everything they produce is really well made. It's definitely not cheap, but it's really well made and well worth it. I'm excited by this saw. It's not the first saw I've had. I've had a few others. I think I had I can't remember. I started with an electric. I got a Husqvarna. I got this. I have an electric chainsaw. So I feel like I'm by no means an expert, but I've seen a few different ones. And this thing is by far the most powerful. It's really well designed. It's just a really cool tool. And if you're doing any amount of like wood processing, I would say a must have. There's really not a good substitute for something like this. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you get a chance to check out a Stihl chainsaw and put it to use in your own yard. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.